The summer of 1969 was supposed to be a time of peace, love, and freedom, but in the midst of the counterculture movement, something horrific happened. The Manson family murders shocked the world, leaving behind a trail of blood and questions that would never truly be answered. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the disturbing story of Charles Manson and the murders that would forever change the course of history. This is the story of how a charismatic conman and his brainwashed followers became responsible for one of the most infamous killing sprees in American history. To understand the Manson family murders, we need to start with the man at the center of it all, Charles Manson. Born in 1934 in Cincinnati, Manson had a troubled childhood. His mother was a teenager when she had him, and Manson spent much of his youth in and out of foster homes and reform schools. By the time he was in his 30s, he had already served time for various crimes, including theft and fraud. But Manson wasn't just a career criminal. He was also a master manipulator. After being released from prison in 1967, he moved to California, where he quickly gained a following. Manson believed in a warped ideology that mixed elements of apocalyptic prophecy, race wars, and manipulation of the masses. He gathered a group of followers, mostly young women, who were drawn to his charisma and the promise of a new kind of family. Manson's followers, known as the Manson Family, were largely disillusioned young people, many of whom came from broken homes or troubled backgrounds. They were looking for a sense of belonging, and Manson provided that. He convinced them that he was a messiah, that they were part of a new world order. Living in isolation on a ranch in the California desert, Manson and his family formed a strange commune. They followed Manson blindly, doing whatever he asked, including drug use, sexual rituals, and, eventually, murder. The group's devotion to Manson went to disturbing extremes, and Manson began to believe he could control his followers to carry out his twisted vision. In August 1969, Manson's delusions took a violent turn. He believed that a race war, which he called Helter, Skelter, was imminent. In his mind, murdering white people and framing African Americans for the crimes would ignite this war. On the night of August 8, 1969, Manson sent several of his followers to the home of actress Sharon Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, and her friends. Sharon Tate was married to film director Roman Polanski, who was out of town at the time. The Manson family members broke into the home and, in a brutal act of violence, murdered Sharon Tate and 4 others: Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski, and Stephen Parent. They were stabbed, slashed, and shot, and the killers used Tate's blood to write disturbing messages on the walls. The following night, Manson ordered another round of killings. This time, the victims were Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, a wealthy couple living in Los Angeles. They, too, were brutally murdered, with messages written on the walls in their blood. The brutality and senselessness of these murders shocked the world. What made them even more terrifying was that they appeared to be random acts of violence, carried out in the name of an ideology that no one understood. At first, the murders seemed like separate, unconnected crimes, but as detectives began to investigate, they found strange links between the victims and the Manson family. It wasn't long before they connected Manson's followers to the killings. In October 1969, Manson and several of his followers were arrested. During their trial, it became clear that Manson had orchestrated the murders, though he was never directly involved in the killings. He convinced his followers that the murders were necessary to start the race war he believed in. Manson and his followers were convicted of the murders. Manson himself was sentenced to death, though his sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment after California abolished the death penalty. Many of Manson's followers, including Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten, were also convicted. They were sentenced to life in prison, where some remain to this day. Manson died in 2017, but his legacy of violence and manipulation continues to haunt the public's imagination. The murders were not just a tragedy for the victims, but for everyone who fell under Manson's spell, showing how a charismatic figure could lead people to commit unimaginable acts. The Manson family murders left an indelible mark on American culture. they served as a terrifying reminder of the dangers of blind loyalty, manipulation, and the power of a charismatic leader. While the murders are long over, the questions they raised about human nature, trust, and power still linger. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.